today we're building the subfloor.
All right, so let's jump into the van. I want to kind of walk you guys through what we're going to be doing today with the subfloor. Inside the transit, there are ribs that go north to south along this line, and they are 3/8 tall. And our idea is that we're going to do a 1" by 1" fairing strip on every one of these blue lines going north to south and east to west, this line, and that line. But this channel in the back and the channel up front doesn't have that rib, so it's actually going to be 1" and 3/8 tall, and that's going to allow the 1" that's sitting on top of the rib and this to lay perfectly level together, allowing a good place for our floor to actually rest. To eliminate any sort of screwing into the van, we're going to glue all of these strips in, and inside the vacant areas that the strips aren't, we're going to be adding our XPS board, which is our first layer of insulation.
We are going to need a template of the floor, so before we start putting in any ribs or anything, we're going to go in there with some cardboard and trace out all of the edges so that we can use that when we're going to cut up our birch. Now you can go and buy cardboard or you can buy crepe paper. We wanted something a little bit more sturdy, and we also had a trick that if you go to Costco, they just give away the cardboard. So at the end after checkout, there's just piles of cardboard, and they're happy to give it to you. So free cardboard. I've been hoarding it for like 6 weeks, so I have quite the stash, and it's gonna come in handy.
Wait, so let's see your tool.
This is my tool.
So what is it?
There is a technical name for this. I don't know what it is. I saw someone else use
Stick with marker?
Stick with marker, but there's like a real word for it. So basically I use...
Scribe?
Maybe?
I don't know.
So I use painter's tape to attach the Sharpie, and then I basically ran it across the wall and then around the wheel on the sheet of cardboard. And then I just cut it out, and it worked.
It looked like it worked pretty well.
It worked perfectly. But it's really convenient because of all the little different ridges. This is slightly bigger. We have another tool that we're going to use for the
contours.
The contours of the pillars, but these wheels are so, because they're dualies, they're super deep. That contour thing only worked partially. So stick with marker. Don't know the real word.
Well, Catherine's contour gauge stick thing works pretty well. We have a contour gauge that we actually picked up on Amazon. It was like $25. We got 2 of these, a big one and a small one. And these come in real handy when we have these like weird little like contour ribs that come out. That's sharp, be careful. So basically there's a lock on this one, and that's why we got it. The ones at Home Depot and Lowe's that we saw didn't have a lock, so it was really hard to trace this onto the cardboard after. So check this out. This goes there. You basically push it against it. Put your fingies here on the sides. Then you lock this, pull it out. Now we have the exact gauge of what it is. So now we're going to transport it over to the cardboard on our template and trace it out, and we can cut it. Now our subfloor is going to fit up against that perfectly. No guessing. This is it.
Wood is really expensive right now, so we're really big fans of measuring 20 times and cutting once.
We are going to strip down, so we have a 2x6, and we're going to create a bunch of 1x1s out of that 2x6. So we're going to make some measurements on this piece of wood, and then we're going to run it through the table saw, and then we're going to see if our measurements are worth a damn.
All right, so we're back in the van. Here are the tape markings. I'm gonna try to show you that we've put down where we're gonna put the furring strips so that we have some sort of attachment to the floor for the plywood. And we've been out here trying to think through the best way to put them in that would provide the most support. And we keep running into a bit of a headache here in this corner by the wheel well because these ridges in the Ford Transit stop. So they stop and there's about 9 inches from the last ridge to the wall. And turn this around. What we're trying to figure out is if that is too much of a gap and it would make it so that the subfloor would bend. And I don't think we're gonna know that until we actually build out this skeleton and put the insulation and the plywood on top to see if we need to put some other support beam there. Because right now I don't know, but I'm worried about it.
The weather outside is frightful, so we're actually going to do all of our measurements inside the van and then run out real quick, do the cut, and then come back to make sure our measurement was good. So let's get measuring. So in between 68 and 69 is the nice mark where we need to hit.
Don't be creepy.
Change of plan. So we originally taped it out like a day ago, and that's what we were kind of cutting wood off of. And then we realized something, so we took a step back and rethought out our layout, and we decided that we wanted to have a little more subfloor structure towards the rear of the van. Because if you guys don't know, and I'm wearing the perfect shirt to demonstrate this, what I'm about to say is, I ride the motocicletas. And one day I'll probably have a motorcycle in the back of this van, so we wanted to have a little more support, especially in the center rib of that van. So we did that. So I'm going to jump in the van and I'm just going to kind of show you guys how we're adjusting the subfloor to have more structure and more strength towards the back. But with the advantage of more structure and more strength comes the disadvantage of there are now more pieces, more opportunities for squeaks. We're hoping that with the amount of glue we're going to have, the amount of pocket holes we're going to have, and just the amount of glue on top of everything, that there's not going to be any squeaking. No squeaking allowed. Structure, yes, maybe some squeaks, but hopefully no. So we're going to jump in. I'm just going to kind of do a quick show of what we're going to do, and we're going to go keep cutting. The good thing is the majority of what we already cut, still going to be fine. Actually, everything we already cut, still going to be fine. So. Okay, so this is what we're doing. We originally only had 2 beams back here, but now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to jump down. I want to show you guys something. We're originally going to have our the west beam sit here. But we realized there's not a lot of space for that to be level. So what we did is we're actually pushing it back here. The door's closed, all fine, no one have to worry about here. But we're giving ourselves enough room because this is, if you pull this up, that's how you lower down your rear tire. So we're not going to have to worry about that. That's totally fine. So we're going to have these beams back here. Then we're going to jump on up. We're going to have more support here. 1, 2, 3, 4 instead of the original 2 that we're going to have. And then 1, 2, 3 here. Then we're adding more support up here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So the main living area is going to have more support in the middle where we're going to be standing the most, which is great. And then you have to stagger these because you're going to pocket hole them. You couldn't have this pocket hole into the same one as that, so everything had to be staggered. All in all, it's pretty genius. So let's go cut.
Hi, it's Katie from the future. I'm currently editing this video, and as you can see here, we're using the jigsaw to cut our rib pieces for the floor. When we went to actually put the ribs together and use the pocket holes, our lines weren't super straight. So hindsight's 2020, if we could do it again, we would use a miter saw. We did not have a miter saw, but it would have been worth the investment because our boards would have matched up much easier for the pocket holes and everything would have been perfect. It turned out fine, but if we could do it again, we would use a miter saw here. All right, today is, I don't know, maybe like day 5 of trying to build the subfloor. Last night we had a really late night, so at around 8 o'clock we decided that we needed to go to Menards to get another piece of plywood and another piece of 2x8. And the reason for that is we had a discussion on what to do with the step right here. All right, so we have a support piece. It's actually this one. We have a support piece that's going here that's going to be glued to the floor. And it's actually a little too heavy, but that sticks out 13 inches into the step well. So 13 inches. Now here is where we are trying to do our best to make this super, super strong. Here and here, we want to make it so that, one, this may have potential to be a little pouch. We could put an umbrella, we could put slippers, we don't know. So we're gonna leave this face open. But here, we're gonna cut this 2x8 down so we have a piece of wood that will extend all the way here, and then we can attach it to this rib that goes in place here. And that means that if you were to put any weight on this, in this 13-inch section, we'll have the full support of a piece of wood right here. So today, now that we're getting a little bit of a late start, we're gonna try to pocket hole all of the ribs. We are going to paint everything with kills and potentially screw all of the floor fairings together so that the full skeleton is done. So let's go. How long did that take?
10 minutes.
Nice.
It's literally like 10 minutes. Yeah, this was so easy. I got something to show you guys. It's top secret. It's not top secret. This is the subfloor skeleton, and it even kind of looks like a skeleton. Spooky, spooky Halloween. Now, what's the song? What's the TikTok spooky song?
Which one?
It was like big in the fall. It was like spooky, spooky skeleton, a doo 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 bone. Da na 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 da da na na. Yeah. Spooky, spooky skeleton.
Shivers down your spine, something.
Yeah. Spooky, so it looks like a skeleton. Or a xylophone. Alright, so everything's tacky. We're being professional now. So, next step is this. I'm going to jump into the van, and we are going to add a little bit of glue to each one of the pocket holes that we've already done. We're going to screw that sucker in. We just cleaned out the inside. We're not gonna go too close because I'm playing music and I don't want that copyright strike. We just cleaned out the inside, so everything's good to go, and we're gonna start zip zip. So to screw together our skeleton, we are using, because we use pocket holes, we're using 1.5 inch pocket hole screws, which have a square head. Then we're using wood glue. What we're basically going to do is put a little glue inside the hole for the screw to attach to, and then we're also obviously going to be putting a little bit of wood glue on the 1x1s as they compress, so then the screw is going to bring it together and then make a nice tight seal. Strength. So we have the screw and the glue working in our benefit. That's it. Alright, we're going to get back in.
And there you go, the skeleton is complete. Join us next week when we add insulation and the plywood on top to finish up our subfloor. Now if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, go ahead and do it right now and follow along on our van build series.